The future of Plants vs Zombies 3 is getting less and less hopeful each day. Deathly silence rings from all Plants vs Zombies media channels, and while the reappearing and disappearing of a new update is available message adds a touch of excitement now and again, things are not looking great. However, some members of the community are not letting that get them down. They're taking matters into their own hands, taking control of their destiny, and showing PopCap what they could be producing. Today we're exploring the world of Plants vs Zombies 3 fan-made concept art. The first set of art you will see today comes from a very talented Reddit user called Guess What? It's Anxiety, who has created a whole series of PvZ3 redesigns and concept art. Currently on part 16, one of their most recent pieces showcases an incredibly well-made plant called Marighoul. Not only do we have a gorgeous design that captures the newest PvZ3 style almost perfectly, but we also get an in-depth explanation of how the plant actually works, as well as some really cool looking sketches of the process involved in creating this plant. I always find it super interesting to look at the potential ideas that didn't make the final cut. So visually, Marigul is stunning. What I love the most about it is its simplicity yet high detail design, as well as the colour palette, particularly the charged glowing state. I think having the colours almost completely inverted is a great idea, and the ghostly blue fire gives it a magical and Day of the Dead kind of vibe. While PvZ3's art style feels a lot younger than the original Plants vs Zombies, I like how the dark humour has been captured here. We have this adorable looking plant, yet it has its arms wrapped around a zombie skull. Ability wise, Marigul is a very versatile all-rounder. The plant can not only deal damage but also buff plants and debuff zombies in some interesting ways. According to the description, Marigul is a manual plant dealing 250 fire damage in a 1x1 area, creating a temporary damage over time petal path for 30 seconds, similar to guava lava in some respects. Fire plants on petal paths get a 25% damage bonus, whereas zombies become unable to change lanes, including from the effects of other plants like sweet potato. The only thing I would say about this plant concept is that the design and name kind of make me feel like an undead necromancy ability may have gelled better. Maybe the link to fire is how it kind of looks like a totem or effigy you could imagine you would find in a tribe on a desert island. Almost gives me Aku Mask vibes in its charged state. As mentioned earlier, Anxiety's Marigul is part of a 16-part and counting series where they have been redesigning all of the Plants vs Zombies 3 plants, almost all of which I prefer to the original designs. In these examples, we see an evolution of the designs from PvZ2, the original PvZ3 design, a black and white redesign, as well as a final design. What I love the most though is this mock-up where they have superimposed their designs into Plants vs Zombies 3. The only slight adjustment they made was to the wave progress bar. The next two pieces of fan art are recreations of Plants vs Zombies 2 plants, but in the PvZ3 style, and in both illustrations we see some process behind the designs too. First up is Wheat Slinger by Peaked Comedy. Besides looking amazing, I think this is a good example to see the difference between the two art styles. A couple of notable things are how the plants are structured. A lot of PvZ3 plants take up more horizontal visual real estate, and a lot of plants seem chunkier, if not want for a better word. You can also see the difference in stroke width. It's a bit thicker than PvZ2, as well as the type of shading. A lot of shell shading has been used opposed to soft shading. You can see the gradients used on the PvZ2 plant, for example. The final thing I want to mention is the eyes, and I think that's a big difference between the art styles. Eyes in PvZ3 tend to be much larger and the pupil much smaller. I think it makes the plants feel younger and look cuter to an extent. Then we have Submergement by Fergustoni. Again, we get a look at some of the initial sketches, some of which look so sad. I mean, look at this poor little guy. I like how they've taken the water aspect of this plant a bit further by using the water droplet shape for the main body. I think by doing that, it also allowed for more of a 3D look, and as I mentioned, we have the large eyes doing a lot to add emotion and personality to the character. Next up, we have two pieces from a very talented artist, Lisylyuwu on Deviant Art. This first piece is something I shared on Twitter a while back, and not only does this look fantastic, but the graphic designer in me also enjoyed it massively, as this is a color wheel. It isn't technically correct in this illustration, but basically a color wheel is a good design or art reference for understanding what colors work well together and how to create different kinds of color palettes. Anyway, back to PvZ talk, I like how all of these have been designed, and I particularly enjoy seeing existing plants like Cattail being recreated in the Plants vs Zombies 3 art style. There's also this adorable banner featuring many of our favourite plants, which really capture the cute and expressive nature of the new art style. I mean, look at that Chomper and Sunflower, that's some cuteness overload right there. Finally, we have some fan recreations of the limited pieces of marketing material and images we've seen over the last few years, with some even going as far back as the original version of Plants vs Zombies 3. Overall, while the future of Plants vs Zombies 3 is still very unclear at the moment, the community have created these awesome fan-made concept art pieces. I've had a lot of fun taking a deep dive into the world of PvZ3 fan concept art, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What was your favourite piece and why? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway guys, that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, but other than that, remember to like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Okay, thanks guys, bye.